What's up, guys? Today we're going to talk about everybody's favorite two topics, sex and money. So make sure you stay tuned because we're going to talk about how these are related, why they always blow up every single relationship, and what you can do about it. So for those of you that are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Stephanie Jaie. I'm the erotic and tantric alchemist in a slightly different location than usual. And I promise you I do have a shirt on, but it seemed fitting that it looked like I didn't have one on today. On this channel, I talk about sexuality, I talk about spirituality. Those two things really fused together and they changed my life when I had a sexual and spiritual awakening. And I'm so passionate about it. And now I've made an entire YouTube channel sharing with you exactly how you can have your own sexual and spiritual awakening and how it is completely different than everything you may have ever thought sexual or spiritual awakening would look like, but equally, I promise you, equally worth it. On this channel, we also talk, because I'm a huge nerd, about hermetics. We talk about the occult, we talk about tarot, we talk about energy, we talk about 4D, 5D, and basically all of that really cool stuff. But I also help you ground it in 3D reality, because here's the truth, my friend. All of the spiritual stuff is not useful to you if it does not make your material realm more available for you to live. We are here as souls landed incarnate in this planet in the 3D realm so that we can experience and enjoy and love and learn from the 3D realm. And we can't be spiritual or learn our proper lessons if we're worried about where our next meal is coming from or whether or not we have a roof over our head. So on this channel, we're not just going to talk spirit. We're not just going to talk about business. We're going to take those two things, we're going to marry them together, and we're going to reintegrate them the way that they were always meant to be. So if you're along for that ride, if that sounds interesting to you, if you're like, heck yeah, I'm with you, I want more of that content, then please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We do posts every single week on Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. Pacific. I would love to have you there when we drop the next video live. Maybe put a reminder in your phone just to make sure you don't forget. And if you feel called, please feel free to share this channel too, so that more people can find this amazing life-changing content. Okay, I think we're good there. I think that piece feels complete. Let's talk about why you're actually here, which is to learn how sex and money are related. Now, the first thing that's coming up to me to share here is, have you ever noticed how the two things that couples fight about the most, or relationships, not even necessarily couples, are sex and money? Have you ever wondered why that is? I want you to take a minute to really ponder that. Why is it, if you have been in a relationship where you fought about sex and money frequently, I want you to take a minute to reflect on what sex means to you and what money means to you. What do those two things mean to you? Why are they worth fighting for? What do they get tied up in? Now, for a lot of people, money relates to freedom. It relates to independence. It relates to worthiness in a lot of cases, right? The more money we have, we think that means that's going to make us more worthy, more free, more able to do the things that we want to do, more able to spend time with our family and friends. Now, if we look at sex, what does sex mean? Sex is often also tied up into a lot of worthiness. Sex is often tied into a lot of conditioning and shame and societal expectations and stories of who should do what. But if we go even one layer deeper, where's a couple of similarities here? We're going to go through a few of them today. The first one is in ability to receive. I don't care which gender you identify as or which body parts you have. If you are watching this, it is important for you to know that both sex and money have to do with your ability to receive. And how hard do you think you need to work for the universe to be worthy of receiving? Do you believe that you are worthy of somebody's love, affection, and potentially a sexual relationship without having to either jump through a bunch of hoops yourself or make them jump through a bunch of hoops? Do you believe that you're worthy to receive a salary or money from the universe or from your boss, if that's how you want to see it, without jumping through a bunch of hoops, without working 80-hour weeks? Or do you think that good money comes from hard work? So we can start to see our first similarity here is that, well, actually it's our second. Our first similarity is that we've got a lot of societal conditioning around these two ideas, sex and money. The second one is that we have a similarity around ability to receive, right? We know that If we can't receive love, we're certainly not going to be able to appropriately receive sexual relations with others. And if we think we have to work really hard for love, then, well, we're going to have to work really hard for sexual relations with others, right? So there's that tie about receiving and whether or not we're worthy to receive. And the same thing comes in from money. People that seem to just make money and have it just fall into their lap believe they're worthy of receiving it. They believe they have a story that money comes to them easily, that it's always there for them, versus those of us that were raised in a different mindset, myself included, believed that I had to work really, really hard for money. In fact, I was the person that believed not only did I have to work really, really hard for money, I also believed that it would never stay around. And conveniently, I was also believing as a child, through different things that happened as I was growing up, that I had to work really, really hard to be good enough to receive love, and that it would come and go quickly. And so you can imagine how this affected both my financial relationship in my life and my sexual and loving relationships in my life. So interesting correlation there. Now we can go into another layer. Let's talk about sacral energy. What's fascinating is that both money and sexual energy come from our sacral when we look at the chakra system. Both are coming from the same life force giving area of our body. Both are considered primal energies. Now, money is just paper that we've all decided is important. But the energy of money, the energy of flowing through and giving and receiving, the energy that is behind money, which is what you actually want, is a primal energy that has been around since the dawn of time, well before the concept or construct of money ever existed. When we talk about sexual energy, we're talking about life force energy. So again, we're dealing with this really primal, very powerful energy that is tied into, with sexual energy, our worthiness to be loved and our ability to create, our ability to birth, our ability to experience pleasure. And when we talk about money, we're talking about freedom. So isn't it fascinating that these are the two things, our freedom and our pleasure and fun, that we tend to butt heads on with our partners, that we tend to struggle with? Now, you're probably already, I hope you have a piece of paper, and you're probably already jotting down a million other ways that I can't even think of in which money and sex are related. And I want you to take some time and journal after this to really dive into what are some other ways that money and sex, I'm having similar patterns, okay? So important to look into. Where am I having similar patterns showing up in my life around money and around sex? What beliefs might be underneath those that I see happening in both money and sex? So for example, for me, again, is just so that you guys can ground this as what we're looking for here. I had a belief or a pattern that money, I was always in jobs that I had to bust my ass for. I made good money, but I was always working really, really, really hard to make that good money. And I always had really demanding bosses that only really approved of me when I was doing what they wanted. And I was bonused as such. So I had that pattern showing up of money is really, I have to work really hard for it. And putting money in my bank account was like putting water into a leaky bucket. I never knew where it went, but it always dropped out the other side. So I simultaneously had the belief that even when I do have it, it doesn't stick around for long. I have to continuously work hard and continue staying on the hard work hamster wheel in order to keep money in my bank account. Now, when we look at my sex and love relationships, we can actually see a very similar theme. I felt that in order for me to receive love from my friends, from sexual partners, from my family, even from myself, I had to work hard to be worthy of it. I had to really put in additional effort to be able to get to the point where I was able to receive love, or I was worthy to receive love. And that didn't last. Once I received what I thought was some like artificial quota of love, the second that meter was hit, I had to then work hard again, and I was no longer worthy of love. So can you see how these two similarities, these two tendencies are very, very similar? Now, here's the magical thing. When things are this closely related, the beautiful thing is when you work on one, you work on the other. And I can't imagine a better way to bust through your money blocks than by working with sexual energy. Now, sexual energy, as you guys know, if you've been following this channel for a while, I believe in how potent it is because it does carry so much societal shame, societal trigger, societal dogma around it. And because it is so heavily conditioned, that means if we can work through the conditioning we have in our sexual energy, I promise you it's going to blow the conditioning of every other issue that you could possibly think of. It's not going to seem like anything. If you can handle the conditioning around sexual energy, I promise you can handle the conditioning around money or your business or shining brighter than your siblings or whatever it might be. And this is why working with sexual energy is so potent. However, it is increasingly doubly so important and potent because when we're talking about money, as you can see, they are deeply, deeply, deeply correlated. And so it is very, very beneficial to work with sexual energy when we're talking about busting through our money blocks. Now, depending on when you're watching your video, if you have hit the subscribe button and you are catching this when we first dropped, I'm excited to tell you that we have a challenge that is going to be coming up very, very shortly that is all around money magic meditation. And it is going to be a fusion of meditation with somatic practices that I teach on this channel and in my one-on-one containers, all focused around calling in money and abundance. So if you are catching this in May or June of 2021, there is a challenge coming up. Please, if that is of interest to you, it's a 5-day challenge. It's 100% free. Go ahead and go to stephaniejaie.com. stephaniejaie.com and sign up for my mailing list if the landing page isn't already in the description down below. But either way, go into the description down below. There will be instructions for you to get signed up for this challenge. If nothing else, join my mailing list because I'm doing challenges just like this one roughly once every 2 to 3 months. So regardless of when you're catching me and whether or not you've gone back in time a little bit to see this video, know that I am doing these types of challenges roughly every 2 to 3 months. So you'll want to join my mailing list. Now, if that is not available for you, what can you actually do about it? I want you, again, as I mentioned earlier, to really dive into your beliefs. What are the beliefs and what are the patterns, get really curious, that you have around money and sexuality? So the way that we might do this is, what are the repeating patterns I'm noticing in my relationships? What are the repeating patterns I'm noticing in my friendships, my romantic relationships, my sexual partnerships, and in my colleagues? Okay, so look at all those different areas. Where are the patterns? Are you finding that you're the one that's always overgiving, or are you undergiving, or are you the one that's always reaching out? Start to try to notice those patterns. Then we're gonna ask the same question: what are the patterns I have around money? How does money typically come into my life? Where does it come from? Are you the type of person that gets random checks in the mail like I do now? It's really cool. Well, we're digital nomads, so let me be clear, they don't actually come in the mail. Actually, that's not true. We did have one come in the mail, but usually they're just surprise deposits into our bank account at this point, and it's really fun. Are you that type of person, or are you like me a few years ago who was only getting money from one income source and was busting their ass to get it, and that was always the case? Look at your career history. Look at the types of bosses you've had. Look at the number of hours that you've worked. Look at all of these different influences, and maybe even look into, how did your parents relate around money, and how did your parents relate around relating, around love, around sex? What was their relationship like, and how did they bring money into their lives? Because you can bet your bottom dollar, pun intended, that they are going to influence these beliefs as well. So take a look at those beliefs, take a look at those patterns. You're going to be able to really start to see things flow. You're going to have an aha moment. I want to know what that aha moment is. Let me know in the comments below. I would love to know, what is your aha moment in doing this exercise. When that's all done, the beautiful thing, you guys, about doing this type of work is that often awareness is enough for us to start actually looking at it. So once you've seen a pattern, once you have an idea of where this pattern has shown up and how it's affecting your life, and maybe even, if you've gone deep enough, the beliefs that are underneath it, sometimes that is enough for it to start to change on its own. And that is a very powerful place to be. Now, if you do need one step deeper, get curious. Where did this belief come from? And do I want to bring it forward? Because guys, we always have a choice. We do not need to bring these beliefs forward with us. We choose to. They're not actually the way it works, right? I don't actually need to work hard to be loved, but I had to allow myself to release that belief. And I don't actually need to work hard to have money show up in my bank account anymore, but I had to release that belief. So once you get to the beliefs and you get curious about them, get curious about, is this actually serving me? Is this a belief that I want to hold for the rest of my life? And if the answer is no, then you get to change it. So go ahead and write down what you want your new belief to be, and that becomes your affirmation for the day, the week, the month, however long you want to hold it until it shows up in your reality. Well, that is it for me today, my loves. Thank you so much for being here. You know how much I love and appreciate every single one of you, and I cannot wait to see you next week at 10 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Central on Sundays, where we are going to talk about... I haven't decided yet. We'll have to find out. It'll be a surprise. But I'll see you there next Sunday, and we're going to talk about something that is going to be spiritual/sexual/business/fun. Okay? Hit the subscribe button, comment down below, and please, as always, share this video with the people you love. I love you so much. You make my heart full, and I'll see you next week.